Hello, I'm Taylor.
I'm Ryan.
And we're from Local Natives. And you were asking about what music we listened to growing up. And we grew up in Southern California in Orange County, and there was a punk and kind of hardcore scene there when we were growing up. So our first kind of like idols were At the Drive-In, and just kind of like crazy guitar rock, and that like our very first bands were sort of emulated off of basically trying to go as crazy as you can on stage, and just, you know, it was sort of in that vein of just trying to have a lot of fun and have it be really aggressive and kind of really energetic.
Mm-hmm. I think the earliest CD I can remember like listening to over and over was Endless Summer, that Beach Boys like greatest hits album, just because I think that was like at my parents' house, and I listened to that like pretty nonstop when I was really little. And then I think
I actually have the same.
Yeah.
My first memory is in my dad's Volvo, the cassette of Beach Boys, like as a little kid, like driving
like the
around.
drawing on the cover where they're like kind of in the trees or something. With like, it's pretty. Yeah, I just remember listening to that over and over. And then the first band I was obsessed with was probably Weezer. Do you remember? I was like listening to the
Weezer phase.
I was listening to like Pinkerton and the Blue Album like pretty nonstop, and I remember going to the record store when their Green album came out, and that was like right before record stores started closing. So that was like the last, big obsession I guess I had. I think the first band Taylor and I were ever in was
Friend or Foe.
Friend or Foe.
Friend or Foe.
It was just like we had like 3 songs and we
brutal
covered
hardcore.
It was just pure, just screaming. I think Taylor was the screamer for a little bit.
Yeah, and we had our first show ever was in the cul-de-sac at his house. So it was like in the street corner, and it was like bright daylight, and like all these people crowded around, and us just like playing this hardcore music on a street. We were kids.
But I remember, that was more about like I had like a Marshall like half stack and like a SG. And it was just about like, playing as many riffs, fitting as many riffs as you can into a song.
Yeah.
And then I think like you start slowly trying to put melodies and like maybe some more, vocal, non-scream parts into songs.
Yeah.
And then as you do that more and more, you stop wanting to like scream as much. And then I felt like it just kind of, we grew up, and it was more about writing kind of songs instead of just parts. You want to write like something that is cohesive melodically and like lyrically and vocally.
Yeah, I think we left, like as we grew up, we kind of left behind the kind of hardcore and punk scene, and maybe there's some remnant, especially live. Like our shows tend to be more energetic live than they come across on record, but I think we went back to sort of like those harmony bands and those 60s harmony bands like Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young, or Zombies, or Beach Boys, or Beatles, and we gravitated back towards that as kind of our core of influence and what we really loved.
And that was for that was when we were writing Gorilla Manor. I think we finally kind of figured out what we wanted to do as a band, and we moved in together, and we really kind of put all our energy into like making this band work. And then with this new record, we traveled so much, and we learned so much from touring as much as we did, and we listened to kind of a lot of new music, and we like learned about a lot of new bands, and so it was just really cool to kind of like we wanted to do something new with the new record, and I think that's why it does sound as different as it does.
When we were writing Gorilla Manor and that kind of time period, I think all of us, but I'll just speak for myself, I was really into Animal Collective, and I feel like everybody's pretty united, especially from a rhythmic sense. That was like a very big influence for us. We just really loved what they were doing, and then other bands like kind of already mentioned, but the 60s harmony bands we were very into during that time, and I don't know, who else would you say?
Broken Social Scene was another big one.
Oh yeah, that You Forgot It in People record sort of, I think, felt like this gateway drug, you know, into this whole other way of how to make a record, and for us that was kind of like opened up a new world of music for us. So that was another big one. And then for Hummingbird, I feel like everybody's kind of diverged a little bit. So for me, I was actually listening to much more like stripped back, basic storytelling, not necessarily like vocally driven bands like Leonard Cohen. I was extremely obsessed with for the last year, and Bob Dylan and Paul Simon, who he's very melodic, but I was kind of listening to that type of music.
Yeah, and I kind of started listening to a lot of music that I think I was averse to, like in high school and stuff, like a lot of music from the 80s and late 70s, like, well, you know, I guess New Order and Joy Division and the Smiths and Depeche Mode, and well, a lot of later David Bowie that I think I didn't really like get like when I was younger, and now that's like my favorite kind of era of his, you know, like Station to Station to like Scary Monsters, like all those sounds and tones that he was getting. And you know, a lot of
you recorded that stuff in Berlin, right?
Yeah, and I think we joked about trying to go to Berlin.
Well, we almost did it.
We almost did it.
But we didn't
to record. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, you grow up and you expand your like kind of palette, and sounds that I think you were like maybe turned you off before, like now it can just be like so, I don't know, you hear it in like a new light or something. And like Portishead was a band like that for us that I think didn't really understand growing up, and then kind of just can't believe I never checked this out before type thing. So that was a big band for us for this record.
I feel like the Horrors too, that Skying record, that
was really cool, yeah.
Those two records, like we really gravitated towards the feel and the tone of those records. And yeah, it was more, we didn't know what we wanted. You know, I don't think it works like that, like you have some grand architecture laid out and everything. It's more, we knew what to push away from and what we didn't want to do again, you know, and from there you just kind of go out and jump off the ledge and experiment. And we ended up getting really attracted to having like a big open space on this record. And there are a lot of songs that kind of started on guitar or were very busy, and then we'd end up putting them on a piano or putting them on a synth and opening it up, and then we'd write all these parts over it or all these harmonies over it, and then we'd just peel it back and say, no, like it feels right to kind of have this more openness to it. And we just kind of discovered that during the writing process.